garden here at the Stone House. In case you don't remember who I am or haven't seen our videos before, I am Leanne of Stone House History. My wonderful husband Jay is also of Stone House History. He's filming it tonight, so thank you very much for your help. I wanted to bring to the garden, we're going to focus tonight on just a couple herbs, three actually that I love to cook with, and you can find out a little bit about their medicinal qualities. But one of the questions that was posed after the last video was where I have done my research or where I've read about these herbs to know what I can do and can't do with them. And so the first book that I always provide to people is this one here. This is Nicholas Culpeper's Complete Herbal. It was published originally in the 1600s. You can get copies, not as fancy and nice as this one, on Amazon for $6 or $7, or you can go to your local bookstore and probably get a copy for right around that same price. Nicholas Culpeper was a physician in London, and he felt that it was unfair that the mass populace couldn't afford to see doctors, so he took all of his information and published it and then distributed it to the masses to help people maintain their health and wellness at an affordable and reasonable price for them. So I love Nicholas Culpeper. I use his book as one of my go-tos for just about everything, so I do highly recommend it. If you're looking for something more modern, a little more contemporary, I recommend this book. This book is Medicinal Herbs, A Beginner's Guide, and it's by Rosemary. If you're not familiar with Rosemary, she is actually a really well-renowned herbalist, and so she's got quite a few books. She's like the go-to contemporary for any herbs that you might have. So these are the two books that I always try to share with folks, and they're both relatively cheap. I think this one was $10 or $15. Again, you can probably get it on Amazon or your bookstore. But tonight, the three herbs that I wanted to talk about before we do in-depth was rosemary, which is this one here, sage here in the back, and then good old-fashioned thyme here in the front corner. Cooking with all three of them is wonderful. I have never found a meat or a vegetable that they don't complement. I love cooking with them because it makes the house smell so fresh and aromatic. So it definitely brings a spring quality even in the middle of winter. So without further ado, we're going to go in and jump right into the sage. In the medicinal world, there are all sorts of different types of remedies that you can come across. You'll find them in the Culpeper Herbal, you'll find them in simple research or online searches. But predominantly you have teas, you have ointments, you have tinctures, decoctions, poultices, and plasters. Those are the most common ones. There's obviously probably others. And I will go into those probably at the very end of the video series, so not tonight. You can do a little bit of research ahead of time, or you can wait for that awesome video to come out. But I wanted to bring those up because when we're talking medicinally, there are different types of remedies. So we're going to talk about sage. The first remedy is a tea, and it's a sage tea just simply with water. But sage tea taken internally, which means drank, helps to alleviate or prevent hot flashes. Thankfully, I'm not at that stage in my life yet, so if I have any followers or watchers who are willing to try that out and let me know if it works, I would love to know ahead of time. It's perfect and awesomely known for its cold fighting ability, so if you get a cold, this is one of those things that you want to definitely cook with or make a tea with because it will help to alleviate your cold symptoms. It also helps aid in digestion, and what it does is it actually has properties naturally occurring in it that help break down fatty meat. So as you're eating things like that really awesome luxurious pot roast or that really high quality just red meat, this sage helps your body to break it down a little bit easier, so you have less bloating and indigestion. Speaking of bloating and indigestion, sage also helps to alleviate those issues. One of my other remedies for sage is that it's a great gargle. So you mix it again with either water or wine. You make a decoction with it or steep it out, and then you can gargle with it. It can be plain sage. You can mix it with rosemary. You can mix it with honeysuckle or plantain, whatever might be your preference. But that helps to remedy any mouth sores that you might have. And you're probably wondering, well, how does that help remedy mouth sores, and how does it help remedy stomach irritation? Sage has natural antiseptic properties, so it makes for a wonderful cleaning fluid, whether you use it as a cleaner or you use it internally to help clean out your own body. Speaking of germs, I do use it every winter. I make a vinegar and sage cleaning solution. I put the sage in a mason jar of vinegar and let it sit for about 2 weeks. Once it's had its time to marry, I guess is the best word, you can put it into a spray bottle and add a little bit of water to just tone down the vinegar, and you can use it as a counter cleaner. I prefer it to Clorox. I won't say it's better than Clorox, but Clorox does not like me because I have asthma, and the vinegar and sage cleaner really doesn't trigger any issues for my breathing. The last thing I wanted to talk about was, being that it's an antiseptic and being that you can use it to gargle, it also has been known for a long time, from the 1600s or earlier, to help remedy or clear up laryngitis or any remedies or ailments that you might have in your throat or vocal cords. So I'm going to end our talk about sage tonight with a remedy and quote from Nicholas Culpeper. His remedy was sage mixed with vinegar, and of this remedy he says, "The juice of sage drank with vinegar hath been of good use in times of the plague at all times," which I find quite fitting since we're all dealing with coronavirus. Maybe some good advice there. So here we are at the Rosemary. Rosemary has been known for hundreds of years to help with brains. They didn't really know early on what it was doing to help your brain or how it was helping your brain. It was just really an observation that was written down and passed on. Modern medicine indicates that rosemary actually helps with your memory. So if you struggle with memory or you need help concentrating, a tea of rosemary would be a wonderful aid for you. I am going to take this particular moment, like I do with whenever I do my herbals, and just mention I am not a doctor, I am not a nurse, I have no health background, so any of the medicines or medicinals I'm telling you about, I'm not promoting. I have taken most of them myself, so I know from experience that they work for me, but I can't promise that they will work for you the same way that they do for me. But back to the rosemary. It not only helps with your memory, but it also helps with arthritis and joint pain. So you can make an ointment with it. Typically the ointments are combined with cayenne, which is a pepper, and it is made into either an ointment or a plaster that you can apply to wherever your joints might be aching or you have the arthritis, and it really does help. Also with rosemary, you can decoct it in wine, and taking it in with wine helps to alleviate your stomach of bloating and pressure, and also helps with gas. Lastly, rosemary, just like sage, can be made into wraps of bundles of herbs, and those bundles of herbs can be burned in the house, and both sage and rosemary will actually clean the air in your house. Some cultures believe that the sage actually removes negativity and bad spirits. I just really like it because it makes the house smell wonderful and lovely and fragrant and fresh. So we've traveled quite significantly here in our garden. We're now at the thyme, which you can see is in full bloom, and there are bees and bugs all over it. It's adorably cute. It's one of my favorites because the flowers are so petite and tiny, and it just looks prim and proper, like it's supposed to be here and in an English garden, and it just makes me happy. Thyme, like sage, has disinfectant qualities to it, so you can use it as well as sage, or vice versa, one or the other. For a cleaner, whether it's to clean the counters or to clean yourself, you can take it internally. Not if you mix it with certain chemicals, but most cleaners that you make with herbs are made with vinegar and water, so you shouldn't be too bad off there. Thyme helps two different places pretty significantly. It's known best as the white knight of your lungs and chest. It helps to rid you of the creep and crud. So when you get that feeling like you've just got something that you can't quite catch your breath and you're just all congested, taking it in a tea or a decoction really helps to break out or break down the creep and crud inside, and it helps to fight it and take it away. It also helps to alleviate lung remedies or lung ailments. So if you have chronic lung problems like asthma, it does have an effect long term, but you do have to take remedy frequently or daily so that you can keep it in your system, because it's not like a medicine that lasts in your system. Moving down lower, it also helps with your stomach and digestion. Most notably, in the 1700s, it helped to remedy you of worms if you had worms. More notably, in modern medicine, it helps to alleviate gas and pressure. So if you have the bloating issue after a meal, you can take some thyme, both some actual thyme and some herbal thyme, and it will help both your stomach and just overall feeling of comfort. Now, just to finish, you can actually make really wonderful cookies. Historically, they made cookies with thyme, with rosemary, and with sage. They were all herbal cookies, so they were kind of like a shortbread or a sugar cookie, and they had the herbs in them. So at the end of a nice meal, you might just have a small little bite. And again, it was really just to kind of give you a little sweet at the end of a nice meal, but also a little bit of something fresh and relaxing to help calm your stomach. I hope you enjoyed this evening's video on the herbs tonight. If you would like more videos, please let us know. If you would like some specific herbs from our garden, I am happy to do the next video based on those requests. You can find us, Stonehouse History, on Facebook and Instagram. We also have a website, and we're constantly updating everything with different events throughout the year and different happenings here at the Big Stone House. If you enjoyed this video, I'm going to ask that you share it liberally. And if you didn't enjoy the video, kindly keep it to yourself. Have a wonderful evening.